committee to deal with traffic calming, among other things. And here's how the meeting today will be structured. We're going to start with a presentation by NDOT on their neighborhood traffic calming program. They will make reference to the current ordinance that we are considering at the end of this program. We do have our attorneys here, so if there's any questions that we have relative to that ordinance, we'll have some clarification comments here. Let's get those out of the way, and then we will move to council member questions. In order to run the meeting efficiently, what we'll try to do is we also have Director Odom from Parks here, who has a place on the agenda, and once we complete the traffic calming questions, Director Odom will be asked to either give a presentation or answer questions relative to the things that are on council members' mind about parks, so that we can move through this efficiently. We'll start with when council members are starting with their questions, we'll initially put a 5-minute limit on you, and if you need to come around again behind everyone else who's had an opportunity, we can do that. We'll try to get through with the end-up portion of this meeting by 5 p.m., and in order to do that, we'll get started right now. So, Director Alicorn, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mr. Chair. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason so we can jump into it real quickly.
All right, my name is Jason Oldham. I'm Assistant Chief Engineer at NDOT. Today we're going to be going over just a brief update on the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program. Briefly, program purpose and needs. We have a lot of traffic, a lot of growth. A lot of that growth and traffic is working its way into our neighborhoods and conflicting with pedestrians. And some of this is due to navigational technology, but we're all seeing this happen. To continue the discussion, when vehicles conflict with pedestrians at certain speeds, the survivability of pedestrians decreases rapidly, and you can see based on this graphic. Program stakeholders, I like to think our program stakeholders are those in the neighborhood, those along our streets, and we want to make sure that they have a high quality of life and are safe. Our program champions, you can see those and you can spot them pretty quickly with signs in the yards begging people to slow down and drive safe around their kids. The numbers, there's a lot of information here, so I'll try to go over it quickly. We've had, since we've had a consultant helping us out, we've had 3 selections, summer of 2021, which only included a portion of streets that were in the program that we had data on from August 2020 selection. That was 145 streets that were ranked. 24 selected neighborhoods were selected. There were 24 high-ranking streets of those neighborhoods, and we have created 61 street projects, and we have 92% of the construction estimates complete, totaling over $1 million. Below that, districts not selected. I just wanted to show the districts, all of those from 1 through 35, 1, 10, 11, 12, as you can read. The red depicts those districts that were not selected after 3 selections. Winter 2021, you can see those numbers, 447 streets ranked. Those were all that we had on file. We had some issues going on as far as we're all familiar with COVID and some other things and changes in leadership in NDOT. So we also had a consultant on board helping us out. So we were able to rank all the streets that we had on file. And that generated another 25 neighborhoods. And you can see we have a 68% of the construction estimates complete, and it is coming close to $1 million. And summer 2022 was our most recent selection, and you will see we had 425 streets ranked. There were 27 ranking streets. We have 27 street projects. We are still just getting started on those. We're having meetings right now with communities. Nashville's program, second bullet, we're averaging about 15 completed streets per year. That is mostly under the petition process. Under the new ballot process that was started this summer, we're anticipating about over 50 streets completed per year. Traffic calming materials received right now are currently having a hard time finding a place at our warehouse. We are maxing out our area. Our current numbers for the program, this is just to kind of give you a status on 151 streets. We have 79 in design phase. We have 23 in balloting right now. We have 33 pending install and 16 completed, but that 16 is going to go up very quickly. Prioritization methodology, this is posted online. Safety experience and impacts on non-drivers. We kind of took this from Boston's Slow Street program. And we probably consider more impacts to non-drivers than any other program that I've seen in the country. I have more data to show, but we might circle back to cover that. For comparison, this is Nashville's program versus Raleigh, North Carolina's program. You can see the square miles, 475 versus 149. We have 425 streets, and that's actually after 4.5 years of applications. Raleigh has 95 streets after 6 years of applications. Typically, 15 again completed under the petition process. That is going to go up. They are averaging 10 completed streets per year. We are projecting over 50. They are projecting 19 streets to be completed in 2022. I think that's mostly due to a backlog that they had. We have 35 council districts. They have 5 council districts, and we are averaging about 20,000 per street in estimates. You can see an example, a photo, if you can make that out. That's a Raleigh traffic calming project. I would just guess they're averaging probably in the $150,000 to $200,000 range because of their concrete treatments that they're using per street. Summer 2022 call for applications are representing right now 52 neighborhoods and 90 additional streets. Traffic calming treatments for Nashville DOT, we look at pinch points, surface treatments, and intersection treatments, and you can see the list. For surface treatments, when we have higher speed, higher volume collectors or locals, that it's not appropriate for cushions, we will consider a digital speed feedback sign. These are the cost of some of these treatments.
I will say we'll share the presentation.
We will definitely share the presentation. Now, looking at measuring success, we have implemented projects. We have also implemented recently speed feedback signs you'll see on your left. The results from some of those installations that we have looked at so far, and that's pretty recent, September, we are seeing a decrease in compared the first box is the radar feedback sign for speed limits of 30 miles an hour on Cherokee Road and Belshire Drive, 35. If you look across, you can see the differences, the drops in speed. We were seeing before the project 35 miles per hour was the average, dropping down to 29. And you can see those differences. If you want to look down at the vertical traffic calming measures, speed cushions, Oriole Place, O'Brien Avenue with posted speed limits 25 and 30. You can see before the treatments 26 miles per hour and 29 miles per hour, and then after 18 miles per hour and 24 miles per hour. Radars were actually not focused on vehicles crossing the cushion. They were focused in between cushions, not to skew the numbers. So we are seeing what would nationally be considered good numbers for a traffic calming program. Adapting to community needs, NDOT receives a lot of emails and a lot of calls, and we try to address the concerns of the community and council members. This is an example. The communities are requesting, help with petitions. They're having difficulties getting those filled out, scary dogs in yards and things like that. And we pushed out this summer an online balloting process and a lot more electronic means of getting things done. The communities also have requested more transparency, more information on what streets are on file, what's the status of those streets. We have an online map that we were planning to release next week, and hopefully we'll have a news release this week that goes out for that. And we have also, because of our ballot process, our voting, people are wanting to get out the vote if they need to get out the vote to get their ballot passed. So they're looking for status on where the ballot is, yes votes versus no votes. And so we are going to try to make that available so my traffic calming coordinator has time to do other things than answer the phone. The meeting mailers was an ask for us to actually get the word out. Sometimes people weren't checking their emails, or meetings information wasn't getting out there, so we just kind of we're going to help out with that. So this mailer goes out to all residents to inform them of a community meeting. The ballot mailer goes out at the end for voting, and on the bottom right corner of that ballot, the second page or back page, there's typically a code there for the homeowner to enter into the online balloting page.
Prevent people from doing redundance.
Yeah, the code is just to make sure we're getting the right people voting on
We
the
don't
traffic
have
calming.
people that are,
Double voting.
Double voting, et cetera.
I was trying to think of the right word to say.
Cheating. So far, and this I think was just released potentially by somebody at NDOT. This is results that we're seeing. Some of these are really close. Rains Avenue, Southgate Avenue. I think it shows that it's legitimate, and not everybody is getting 100% on their votes. So.
And that's another change. If y'all remember, we were at a higher percentage and we lowered it to 65.
Yeah,
So we're
66. So
66, sorry. So you can see we are actually have a lot that we get ready to push out the door.
yeah, the map is what's going to be rolling out next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. This would inform everyone what's going on and what's going on where in Nashville, and the status, and there's even more information that we can share. We've got lots of fields, meeting dates, and things like that we can populate. The next section is community meetings. I wanted to just kind of go over some of the goals on the left side. Under the petition process in the older program, we were having some struggles with getting good attendance. This has gone up a lot since that last program. The program education piece is really important. Program equity, consistent messaging. I was on several meetings, and sometimes consultants might not say the same thing, with different neighborhoods, and I just want to make sure we got that under control for meeting number one. Urgency, we want to move fast. We don't want these projects to be 5-year-long transportation projects. There's a need that's now, and they've probably been waiting long enough to get selected, and we need to move fast. Documentation, these meetings are recorded. Even the in-person meetings are recorded. Resources, that's basically our website and what we communicate through the website. And internal resources, which I have a link to that, is where the consultant and NDOT share information and keep master spreadsheets on status of all projects. Community meeting number one, this is just kind of a sample of somewhat of a scripted educational presentation on traffic calming. a lot of people do know about traffic calming, but some people do not. We even have language barriers in some of our meetings, and we try to be prepared for those to offer information in Spanish and Arabic. But we want to educate everyone. We also want to point individuals to other programs that NDOT offers, because not all things are offered in the traffic calming program. Meeting number 2 is more on the design concepts that were developed by NDOT. And if we get good feedback from meeting number 2 and everyone wants to move forward to balloting, we will move forward and incorporate any additional comments from meeting number 2. And we will actually post those final plans online. So when they go to vote online, they go to their ballot, and there is a link on the ballot that takes them to the plans so they can see what they're voting on. And we want to make sure that happen. Yes.
So it may be helpful to schedule them, already scheduled community meetings.
Yeah. We absolutely have to work with the council members to schedule these meetings because they do have so many community meetings. So we have a spreadsheet that NDOT sees, that the consultant sees, and we know which dates, the council member has given us, so we can try to avoid those. But our calendar is very full. Almost every evening at 6 o'clock, there's a meeting, just about every day of the week, and also on Saturdays.
I think something we've gotten better about is coordinating and collaborating with the council member about the meeting. So if they want it tied with another meeting, we're more than happy to do it. If they want it to be a separate meeting, we're happy to do that. So we are going through the council member first before we actually put the meetings out. I don't think we did a great job in the beginning with that, but we've definitely come around the corner where we're delivering on that level.
And Chair, I've reached my 15 minutes. The slides that I have remaining are on the ordinance.
Okay.
This is the changes with this is the layout for the new ordinance. Excuse me.
This is the new ordinance that we are considering regarding traffic calming, and I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on how that reads to date, and we also have our legal counsel here to speak to that so that we understand the impact of this bill, which was kicked back to second reading, so it could be amendable again. And I understand some of those amendments are being considered. So you see what they've put up there. Would you like to go through this briefly, or you want me to have our legal counsel comment on it?
Very briefly.
Yes,
and just
very
share
briefly.
Our comments.
Sure. Go ahead.
Section A is just kind of an introduction. Section B, underlined in bold, is new, and NDOT shall ensure that over any 2-year period, it selects a project application from every council district where a qualifying traffic calming program project application meeting NDOT criteria. You can read it. We didn't really have any comments on that per se. Section C goes further into privately funded projects. Where,
A little closer to your mic so people can hear you a little bit.
Yep, sorry.
Sure thing.
Yep. Section C goes into the privately funded. Where this impacts NDOT is really just looking at the feasibility once these are proposed, and then ultimately just reviewing drawings that are submitted to NDOT. I do not know what the volume will be, but we can anticipate some additional resource burden on NDOT, but whether that's burdensome or not, it's too soon to tell. Section C continued. 4, A, B, C, and D are covered here. Again, just additional review from staff. And I think that is all that we have. Oh, yeah, finally, in this ordinance, we still want there to be community support with the traffic calming that's proposed. So we are actually going to conduct the ballot for the private entity to make sure that that support exists.
Director Darby, you got anything to add to what we just saw?
No, I don't have anything to add, but I think that we would be happy to answer questions if there are any questions about the legislation. I think it was pretty clear. Part A kind of outlines that there shall be a program. Part B is discussing the application process and how it goes through NDOT. And then Part C of the legislation adds in this element of privately funded traffic calming projects. Lots of questions.
Well, it looks like we got a lot of questions here, so why don't we start our questioning period? And as we said before, I want to give each council member up to 5 minutes in round one so that we can get through this efficiently and give everybody an opportunity. And so I'm making the assumption that everyone here wants to ask questions. So I've put together a random list, and we're going to go down that and start. And I'll put the clock on you. And when you're finished, I'll move on to the next person. If you have any more questions, we'll recycle back after everybody's had an opportunity. So, Councilmember Withers, you're first. Oh, I got to put your mic on, don't I?
I have a teacher voice.
That would help.
Thank you so much, Chair. One of the items that gave me a little bit of the most pause about this proposal was actually the idea of private funding. And I know we had some good questions about that. As the council representative on the Planning Commission, obviously a lot of times when we do have new subdivisions that are proposed or trying to connect subdivisions to where a stub street may have been in the past, I understand why neighbors get concerned about that. A lot of times the Planning Commission will sort of notate that we recommend that the applicants work with NDOT to find appropriate traffic calming when we have those new subdivisions or linkages coming in. It's my understanding that this sort of helps to facilitate that. I don't, even in my area, I don't know of many neighborhood associations that could privately fund $20,000 to $50,000 of traffic calming, but certainly for some of the larger developments they could. But I just wanted to make sure that that is kind of the intent of that, is to facilitate that additional work with the private development that's coming in for new subdivisions. So.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Anything further? Okay, thank you. Councilmember Henderson. Where are you? Councilmember Henderson Welsh.
Thank you, Chair Pulley. I appreciate so much the improvement to this program because I did engage this program as a president of a neighborhood association way back before I ran for office. And I think those of us who are here as second termers have definitely seen the evolution of bringing this back in-house, having that management be here and kind of iteratively improving that. So thank you to Mr. Oldham and Director Alarcon and Mr. Freeze. I am definitely seeing council member and neighborhood feedback reflected in how we are doing things. So first, I want to express that appreciation. I guess I was very pleased to see the petition, how high that is. And I know it is kind of come up, and we've asked before about neighborhood engagement, which is always appropriate, but also considering whether that be on two-lane, or rather, one in each direction, collectors, something we're going to get to a little bit in a bit, adjacency to parks, adjacency to schools. And so we've talked about kind of programmatically where all these safe routes efforts converge and or can be bucketed, right? So we've talked about Vision Zero, which is sort of related to traffic calming. We've talked about safe routes to school. And so I feel like for a long time we had a program that was, to be frank, ineffective because we had no vertical measures. So as you all showed very clearly here, the speed limit reductions happen mostly with actual physical vertical measures. And so I think as the program has gotten better, now more people are applying, right? And so now the queue is kind of super deep. And so I think my questions are kind of threefold. It is, given the depth of the queue, is there a way programmatically, whether for kind of geographic proximity to parks, schools, through the Vision Zero efforts, that we can start to kind of pull out some of these things and put them in other programmatic buckets? And whereas for neighborhoods, it really is about that cut through traffic that's happening and speeding. So that's one. And then I think, secondly, my question would be, you did show a small speeding reduction with the flashing signs. And I wonder when that information was taken, because as I read in other cities, once folks figure out and get over kind of the novelty of that, and they recognize that it is not backed up by speeding enforcement, they come to understand that that's effectively meaningless, and thus the speeding goes back up. And so I wanted to ask about the time frame on that. So, I mean, all reductions are good, but I think the vertical measure was, twice that. So that's my second question. Thank you.
So I'm going to take the first one for the team. The traffic calming program that is before you is relevant to neighborhood streets. It is its own bucket of money. So what you're talking about of making improvements around parks and schools and Vision Zero, that comes out of another bucket. So if there is, for example, a recommendation that's put in on a collector street, which this does not apply to, we will pull that out, and we'll look and see if that can fall in another bucket. If it is not, then we will notify the council member, and we will notify the neighborhood that it doesn't qualify for this reason. And then we will actually hold on to that and look at where that falls and some other opportunities. So it's not like we throw it away, because if someone took the time to do an application, we're recognizing there's an issue, we'll actually dive into it. But for the sake of this program, this is strictly neighborhood local streets. So we're not looking at collectors, we're not looking at arterials, we're looking strictly at neighborhood streets. So it does address the cut-throughs or the speeding in the neighborhood. So let me...
And if I may ask a follow-up question. So I have two neighborhood streets in the queue. This also speaks to kind of how we're batching and organizing. There was a time when it was single streets. Then there was a time when we used to batch them collectively, right? Because we know we have knock-on effect. If you've got two parallel routes, you put speed cushions on one, what are you doing? You're just pushing traffic over to the other street. Then it seemed like the pendulum swung back, and then it seemed like constituents were getting feedback, oh no, it's only one street at a time. And I wondered, our number popped up so high, if that was because we had reverted to single street. But my example would be in the vicinity of an MNPS public school, Julia Green. To either side of that school are neighborhood classified streets. One street Bellwood applied, one street Wallace applied. We had a meeting. We wanted to kind of talk about, this is about safe routes to this school. They were batched together, but then they kept moving further and further and further down the list. When they had gotten so close, I mean, they literally were within one or two, and now everyone's so disconcerted because it's literally been years, and they keep falling.
So let me go back. So we're doing it by single streets, because that's what we were finding was happening. When we tried to put it together and look at neighborhoods, it was not working. So we do look at, so when we get an application in, we are looking at that individual street. That doesn't mean we disqualify the streets that are around it that could potentially get impact. We do look at that, and that's part of our internal conversation, so that if we feel like it's going to be a big hit, we need to have the internal conversation, to have the conversation with the council member about the application. But what we were finding is that when we were grouping them together and trying to do more than one, we could not get them done. We could not get the ballots passed or the petitions passed, and we ended up doing nothing. We found we were much more efficient and effective with one single street. We could evaluate it, get it done, move it forward, get the design done, get it moved out to the community does their ballots, we can move forward. Understanding that there is the potential that traffic will move to the next street, so we do have that flagged in our system for future if that comes back. But we have found that we've hit a wall I guess it's not a wall. We've hit a speed hump, let me say, with the inability to move multiple streets together at one time. So we went back to the single street of review.
And I appreciate that, Director, but I think the reason you hit that wall was because you had not implemented all these improvements.
Well, we took that into consideration, but what we were finding is the community was not in agreement, actually, Councilmember. Once we started putting it back out, we found out we had communities on that road that said, no, I do not want it, but on this road, even though we were saying the traffic's going to move to your road, and they were saying, we'll deal with it when that happens. So we were just getting to a point where we weren't able to move it forward. So that's one of the reasons we made the decision to go back to single street. But we keep in mind that there's a potential that that cut-through traffic gets to the next street, but we weren't able to have success with getting community buy-in to move it forward. So we stuck with single street applications, and you can see this success we're having. Just also real quick to let this the council that's here today, where we were working on petitions where we've not had success of meeting it, we've moved them all to ballots. So we've been moving folks off of petitions to ballots to get that community buy-in to move them forward. So we have taken this new practice and we have gone back and we've kind of have gone back and revisited with the ones that are stalled to see if we can get them brushed and move forward. So we are having some success with that. But we were having the challenge just with getting community buy-in. That may not be for all, but our experience that we've had in the last year has been, we haven't had this success, but we've had the success with single streets. And so we want to deliver, but we do flag it for potential cut-throughs moving to that next street. So when we get that application, we're like, we knew it was coming, but just to let you know, at that time we were having the challenge.
But what does flagging it mean? I mean, so we know if you have two parallel streets in between collectors and that presents a route because of cut through, if you put speed cushions on one, it's absolutely going to go to the next street.
Not necessarily. That's not always what happens. So, you know, that's the assumption we all make. I always use the phrase, and they laugh at me when I use it, and that is, you know, if you put a dam up, water's going to find another way to flow. And that is true, but that doesn't necessarily mean the next street that's impacted. It may be the street that they actually were supposed to be on is what they refer back to. So we flag it for the potential so that if it comes up, we're aware of it because we know that another street caused this effect, and so that's where the water did flow, but it doesn't always happen that way. So again, we were finding we were getting difficulty of community buy-in, but as we've gone back to the single street application, as you can see from what we put up, we're having some real success. On the ones where we've been struggling, we're actually applying this new practice in the past so that we can get those applications moving forward, because as you can see, we really want to up the amount. I mean, right now we're averaging 15. We actually want to be hitting 75, close to 100 being completed on an annual basis, which is what we're processing, because our goal is to try to get more in through. I mean, my goal is once we finish getting the team built up and we get this process through, is that we go and actually look at doing it every, 3 to 4 months, so that we're doing 75 a year versus 50, so that we can continue to help the communities that are struggling with speed and with cut-through traffic and that kind of item. So we're trying to get there, and so we're seeing some really good successes, and we want to continue, but that's why we went back to the single streets.
Councilmember Henderson,
I appreciate
are you okay
that explanation.
with me moving on, and I'll come back to you if you have any more?
Yes, sir. I did articulate, though, a second question that was about the evaluation of the flashing measures that were not vertical measures, but lights only, and what the reduction was. What was the
Can you
time
have an answer to
frame?
that?
So the feedback signs nationally, they perform best in the first 12 months, but they are still proven after the first 12 to work better than a lot of other measures like signs and markings. So it's still a value-added treatment for traffic calming.
But about half the
I would say,
value.
I would say we're showing a 6 mile an hour reduction now. You'll see 3 miles an hour over, 16, 18 months.
Whereas the vertical measure would be sustainable because it's physical, and that's like 11 miles per hour in reduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Toombs? You're the pro tem. You're really good at this. That's why you were up here instead of me. No, that's not the only reason.
Thank Thank you, Chair. My question was about the ensuring that every council district has a project every 2-year period. And looking from an equity lens, I know that some districts need more resources than others. And so in ensuring that there isn't any district that's left out within a 2-year period, will that result in some of those under-resourced districts not receiving a project, or would you do more projects in order to accommodate that part of the legislation?
It's not our bill.
Huh? Say what?
So in reality, it would mean that somebody that probably would hit the prioritization based on what we shared today would not get it, because it would go to someone in a district that, yes, we would have to, yes, we would have to move.
That is a possibility.
That is the possibility. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm thinking even if you added more money to the program, you would still have the same situation where someone a street that needed it more wouldn't get it because you.
With the new bill, and based on the way it would work, we would actually, yes, there is the possibility that somebody that a community that has a bigger need would not necessarily get it. It would go to another district so that we can meet this new bill requirement. Throw in more money at it may not necessarily be the need as much as it is the resource to be able to get it done. And so right now, we're pretty much a two-man show on the traffic calming with the assistance of consultants. And so to add more consultant takes more money away from being able to deliver on traffic calming on the roadway. So it's a give or take.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further?
I probably will have something further, but go.
That's all right. I'm going to come back to you then if you want to think about something further. Thank you. Councilmember Rutherford. Hold on. Where are you? Swope? Councilmember Swope.
Yeah, don't do that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question relates to the privately funded aspect of this. I know I've had one neighborhood in my district that has asked that question, and of course has been the answer's been no up till now. Does this come about because you've seen a lot of that? Have there been a lot of neighborhoods throughout Metro asking to go privately funded because they've been continually rejected otherwise? And then do you anticipate going forward that you'll see very much of that?
So we've had a few. And we do get a lot of requests through planning. So when Councilmember Rosenberg approached us about it, we actually had already looked at some legislation for consideration that would allow for us to look at doing private funding, as well as that way it would meet the intent when we're going through a planning and a big project like that. We felt like it would be very useful and helpful. What's really important about this is that the private company, the company or the entity that's asking for it will fund this 100%. So they're going to fund the design, the analysis. We have criteria they'll have to follow: analysis, design, everything. We will do the community outreach unless it's like a new development. But if it's a current development, we'll do a community outreach through the ballot just to make sure that the community is all on board. And then once we get through all of that, then they'll get it reviewed, signed off on, and then they will go construct. So I think what was really different, and the reason why we were saying no, is because we were looking at, we would still have to do the design, we would still have to do everything, and what we did is took all of that away and moved it over completely to the private sector. So they would have to hire an engineer, they'd have to do the design. The only thing we would do would be the ballot part. We would sign off on it, they would go build, we would inspect. So we took a lot of that cost where we were keeping that burden on us, and we moved it over to the private sector side, that this is more manageable without disrupting the current traffic calming program that we have.
And then do you have anything that makes you anticipate that would, going forward, would be used a lot? Do you think that that's going to happen very often?
I I can think of right now of 2 asks that we've had that would probably most likely move forward. And then, of course, through a couple of our planning opportunities, there has been some asks that they've already, because of this bill being out there, they've come back and said, can we work with you on this? And we're like, sure, do the analysis, put it together, bring it to us, we'll review it, we'll sign off on it. That way you can take it to the Planning Commission. So I do foresee that actually being something that'll be used significantly.
Just
Anything further?
Yeah, just one clarification. The way this bill is written, it's really addressing those streets that have applied for the program. So not really new developments, putting out curb extensions. It's really a location that's failed to select. It's been, Section A at the bottom, let's see. Criteria for the traffic calming program has been selected for a traffic calming project through, let's see. I think there was a grammatical error there, but basically it's an application that's been submitted.
So we need to correct that so we can consider it through the planning analysis. So we'll talk to Councilman Rosenberg. My bad, because I thought we could. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rutherford. Councilmember Johnston. Would you like to
right on cue? Thanks for the mic.
You want to give us an update on the LSU Tennessee game before we get started?
I'm on camera and I'm going to refrain. But thanks a lot. See? Okay, so I had actually asked when Fata Massimo was here about the privately funded thing, because I actually had some streets and not in my more affluent areas either that were so desperate that wanted this, and I thought, why not? But my question, I think, really now is sort of, what is the practicality of that? When you're not just talking about the purchase of a radar sign. You're talking about engineering, there's a lot more that goes into it. So my question number one is like the feasibility or the practicality of this actually happening outside of our really rich zip codes. Let's pick a normal zip code. What's the range of price for the installation of vertical measures and just like the radar signs on a 2-mile stretch of road? Just ballpark it.
This is just per speed cushion. Sorry. This is per speed cushion. You can see a range from almost $3,000 to almost $7,000 for each placement.
So I would say, Brad, maybe you
I would say around $250,000, probably around that, when you incorporate design into a larger traffic calming program.
No. Like for just rubberized cushions, you're looking at a construction cost of $20,000. The design and engineering would probably another 10 or 15. So
at a minimum, let's say $30,000. So for the most part, this is really not going to happen. I think it's nice for us to have if you want to get together and rub your pennies together, then okay, here's this option. But I think the feasibility of it in real life is probably very, very low. My other question would be, how would they be prioritized? So say you've got what you guys do, and you've got your own priority list. Well, then let's say Henderson neighborhood, whatever, I don't know. They come up with $50,000 for their speed humps on whatever. How does she plug in to the priority of that? And is that fair? Because y'all still have to do the work.
Well, actually, we're moving the burden of the job over to them.
Oh.
So that was, I think, is the biggest difference is we're not going to take on that responsibility, because you're absolutely right. In the past, when we were asked to privately fund it, they would only be funding the cost of putting in the speed cushions,
right,
or whatever the vertical element or what was determined out of it. Yeah. But everything else would be done by us, and that was unfair because we would have to throw someone to the back of the line. to put that up. And I'm all for public-private partnership, but what is being proposed in this plan puts the total burden on them. The only thing we're stepping in and doing is we are sending out a ballot to make sure that everyone is in place, because if there is only one individual who says, I'll pay for it and put it forward, and nobody else wants it, we want to make sure that the community on that street is aware that it's happening. So we want to do the ballot for that reason. That's really, that's online, that's really easy. We've gotten that automated. Great job, Jason. So I want to give him credit.
It's even less feasible, really, in real life. I mean, I know that for most neighborhoods, this is just really not. The equity piece I'm going to touch, I think that's where Councilmember Toombs was going, is sometimes a forced equity creates a bigger problem in that people that truly are in need don't get what they need because of this forced equity piece among council districts. So I personally don't like that. I feel like you guys do a good enough job to prioritize based off of need, not off of it. Yeah, it really should be what's the most dangerous streets, so I just don't like that. I like equity. I just don't like the forced equity piece of this. I don't want to have that pulled out of context. The other thing that I'm a little bit confused about, because you had said, and this is just my personal experience, that collector streets aren't part of this, but I just had one in North Creve Hall that every single street is a collector street. So I don't understand how that, if it's, what? If somebody could clarify. I mean, Blackman Road is a collector, Trousdale, Hogan is a collector, Darlington is a collector. They're all residential streets. Now, Trousdale has a bit of some commercial on one side, but every other piece of it is 100% residential, meaning people are living on these streets. But so I'm just confused as.
You want to take that one?
Yeah, it's hard to set that and say no collectors at all are going to be included based on the context of that when you look at the volumes and you look at the travel on that. So we do need to consider that and look at the characteristics of that collector street. Some things are designated a collector street that really don't function as collector streets. They function as neighborhood city streets. So we are looking at that when we don't throw every collector out that we receive on our list. We look at them individually, look at the volume on those streets, and treat them in the context of the situation.
Yeah, because I just wanted to make that clarification because we are doing collector streets. In fact, every single one of in my district that we've done they're in neighborhoods, but they are collector streets. And those are the ones that are typically where you have your higher speeds, so I don't want to throw those out. The other thing that I would say, you're saying you've got meetings every single night and you've got 400 and whatever in the queue and all this. From just let's get through this and knock things off the list faster, is it possible to just reserve these community meetings and this, that, and the other for vertical measures that you really feel like you need community input and buy-in from, but like radar signs, we don't need to have multiple community meetings for you guys to put radar signs up. In my opinion, I think everybody would be perfectly fine if whoever made that application for, Jones Road or whatever, and you guys come back and said, radar signs are what we think is most applicable here. Just write back and say, hey, congratulations, we're going to be installing radar signs for this particular deal. And then if that's not good enough, then they can reapply later, because I do think that to Council Lady Henderson's point, radar signs are very temporary and decently ineffective, and so I'll be reapplying for all of my streets for speed tables and cushions, but so I'm just wondering to take some of that off of you, because it is popular. I think we need to put more money into it. I think we need to put more resources into it, because that's one thing that this council can agree on. Every single council district has issues with traffic calming. So do you have to have all these meetings for some of this stuff?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to try to take this one. I have been thinking the same thing you have on this topic. There is a possibility we could consider like a tier 1, tier 2, where you have things that you really need to meet about with the community. And a tier 1, I would still like to rank tier 1, but in tier 1, getting striping, or you're getting, narrowing, or you're getting a feedback sign or something like that, and it's just a lot faster. And it just, and a lot of those streets that really wouldn't even qualify for cushions anyway could be addressed a lot faster than what's happening.
Yeah.
I would say, as you can see, we've been going through a process improvement with the program, and we're going to continue to do that. So Jason has really been very progressive about bringing forth new ideas about next steps with the program. Like, okay, now that we're here and we got this done and we've eased it up, can we go do this? So I think that that's very much in the future.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say
No.
this is not working. I'm just trying to figure out how can we, from our feedback perspective, take some of this workload off of you with these unnecessary meetings and goofy stuff when we don't need a meeting about striping or.
Because we also, one of the things that Jason has seen as he's reviewing the application is some of these applications that aren't picked, maybe they just need the signage like he said, or they need the striping we don't necessarily need, that we can push through so we could get more than 25 done. So we're at that point. We just needed to get to this point, and then it would be, again, another process improvement of continuing improving the program so we can deliver more. So he's always thinking about the next best thing. So I pretty soon feel like he's going to be coming to me saying, Diane, I want to do this with the program, and then we're going to figure out how we have that conversation with y'all about the changes to the community, to the program, so we can get more for the community.
Yeah.
So we're moving in that direction, Councilmember.
Okay.
Councilmember Johnson, let me move on to another, Councilmember, I'll come back to you.
I was pretty much finished. I was just going to say, speed tables. I really would like to see the use of speed tables used more on those quicker roads that are really dangerous, because that's where we are getting crashes and all that kind of stuff. And I want them on Blackman Road. I'm just saying.
I'll write that down.
Thank you. Councilmember Hurt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is also regarding prioritization. I was thrown a little bit about the word usage of forced equity, because that seems to be problem in it being forced in the first place is unfair. So it seems to me that it's all subjective to what NDOT is deciding on what would be priority, as opposed to there being some criteria that would, I guess, prioritize what goes first. And the other thing is, and this may not have anything to do with it, but I had a constituent to reach out to me today about streets with no sidewalks, and how so much traffic and speeding is being done on those streets, and they don't have sidewalks, but yet kids are walking to school on those streets. So how does the sidewalks, and when they're placed, fit into this whole traffic calming? And, because it may very well end up being on the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
So unfortunately, sidewalks are not included in this. So when we look at traffic calming, we're looking at things that we can do on the road to slow down traffic, cut through traffic, reduce speeding. Sidewalks we actually have through our sidewalk program. So we have a 3-year walk bike sidewalk program. So that's where we actually program the sidewalk improvements that occur, and that's for the whole city.
But do you consider that in your traffic calming? Do you look at the sidewalk and make sure that all of this is integrated when you make the decisions?
Is the question, do we consider if there's a sidewalk present or there is not in our ranking?
Safety perspective.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
In the ranking, and I will say,
And I apologize. I know I was late, so I perhaps may have missed some information.
we do actually look at the amount of sidewalk on a street as a percentage, and if it's no sidewalks, it gets a higher bump than if it's a street that has sidewalks.
For a prioritization, yes, ma'am, we are using that as an evaluation.
Yeah.
So how do you determine what's fair and what isn't?
Do you want to go back? So we actually do have a list of criterias that we actually look at when we are ranking and prioritizing. So here's kind of our prioritization methodology that we put into place. And as you can see, safety is actually 70% is what we look at from a safety perspective. We look at crash history as well as speed. And then we also look at impacts on non-drivers, which is active transportation and which is your sidewalk. And within each one of those categories is a separate way of prioritizing. So it's a pretty extensive way of prioritizing it. So they look at several different things and then they get these points, and that's what determines the final ranking that we put into place.
So is there a committee, or is it just specific staff that has been appointed to do the reviewing?
It is a staff member because everyone gets measured and judged the same way. So every single application that comes in is evaluated the same way. It is not subjective. It is objective based on the criteria that's been established.
If it's only one person, then it's no way that it could not be subjective if it's only one person looking at it.
It is reviewed by several people. So it's just, there is a person who goes through and does the initial evaluation, and then it is reviewed by different staff members to make sure that we got it right and that there wasn't like a misevaluation. But the criteria is what they're evaluating on and looking at. And we do have QC checks that are done to make sure we do not make mistakes.
Okay, but I do want to insert the equity lens back into.
I certainly understand that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hurt. I've got Councilmember Sledge, Young, Vercher, and Druffel in the queue. If I might take a little 5-minute respite from the questioning, I do want to be respectful of our director's time, and Director Odom's been sitting here patiently waiting for an hour. So I'd like to give her 5 minutes to go ahead and talk about what she's here to say, and then we will circle back to our council members. And if you have any questions of Director Odom during that time period, we'll do so. I think we still have questions of you, too.
We're not going anywhere. We're just giving her the
Okay,
floor.
good. Okay. So, Director Odom?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, come on.
All right.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Chair Pulley, and thank you for inviting me to come this evening at the recommendation of Councilmember Henderson in regard to paving in particular, paving throughout parks, but in particular with Shelby Park and Warner Parks and traffic calming. Director Alarcon mentioned a number of times process improvements, and we have met, and so have some members of our respective teams, in particular to the paving projects that were recently completed in Shelby, and I think they will meet later this week on the one in Warner, and look at getting recommendations from NDOT about traffic calming. When those projects were completed, the review was safety, but traffic calming specifically was not included in the scope of work, and certainly should have been. And I think your inquiry, Councilmember Henderson, talked about understanding how parks and NDOT would coordinate moving forward, and I certainly believe that is and would be a process improvement. And so for our team, as we embark upon paving or improving roads and parks, those particular to vehicular traffic, we will engage NDOT in terms of review and recommendations for traffic calming. Certainly, we want to make sure that we are protective of vulnerable park users, whether there are cyclists or pedestrians or runners, and make sure that park roads we're thoughtful about shared use on park roads. So that is how we intend to move forward. We'll again do a review of those roads that were recently paved, and then going forward we will incorporate with support from from Director Alicorn and her team engage on a review, and that included, speed cushions and signage, et cetera, and then some striping, I do believe. But I would view this as a process improvement, absolutely. So that is how we will move forward. Just as information, we have included in our capital spending request, whenever that comes before you all, funding for paving. Lots of deferred maintenance items are included in that request, but paving is one of those that are there. So we anticipate doing some of that in the future.
I gotta find your button. There you are. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Director Odom. I appreciate that. Just colleagues, for context and the public that is watching, anticipating a lot of that deferred maintenance and paving happening in parks, and having seen two examples of where I felt that the striping plan, as implemented by someone contracted to parks, was going to induce speeding. So, to your point about safety, and you said it well, pretty much every road in parks is a shared use road, right? People are driving on it, walking on it, biking on it. And so I think we've got to make sure our striping plans reflect that. And my concern was that we were doing white edge lines, we were doing yellow center lines, and just, at first sight, I recognized that's going to induce speeding. And so it seemed to me that there was a disconnect, and so I appreciate that you both acknowledge that is a needed process improvement. But if you could please explain then what that will mean. So you've identified a road in parks that needs to be paved. Mm-hmm. Will the onus be on the Parks Department to ascertain if this has cut through potential, like, the one in Shelby, Councilman Withers has spoken to, it's a through route for a lot of people. I mean, while it's next to a playground and a baseball field and right in the middle of a park, and so, the one in Warner, cyclists use it a lot, but it's to get to a golf course clubhouse. So, just kind of the hierarchy of who we're designing for, who will kind of touch it when? Do you all still do the striping plan and then NDOT reviews it? Or more proactively, if you're repaving a menu of roads, would, say, Ms. Dearman as the bike ped planner do that striping? Can you just share how that's going to work so that traffic calming and safety are paramount? Because I know it's a concern of the department, but how it was being implemented is not reflecting the concern. If safety is the topmost priority, we would not have had the striping plans that we had in Shelby and in Warner. So if you could just sort of speak more specifically to who will touch it when, what will the process be? So I've heard you say you're going to improve the process and you're going to work together. Excellent, thank you. Who's going to touch it when and review it how?
So going forward, what we will do once we identify roads that will need to be paved, we will review those with NDOT for their recommendation.
And we do have an internal team that does that review that involves multiple people. So yes, Anna Dearman, who is our bicycle pedestrian manager, is part of that team. So we also have John Pagozia, who's our traffic safety and our Vision Zero manager. So they sit on a team. We will then put together recommendations to go back to parks about those safety improvements, including we're working with her staff, my staff and her staff are working together. They've, as the Director Odom had already mentioned, they've already done Shelby Park. They're doing Warner Park this week. We're coming back with a list of recommendations. We'll sit down and discuss it, come up with the recommendations, and then the priorities to get them done, and even talk about how we make sure it gets funded and gets improved. So we're working very closely on it, recognizing it, and so as the Director had mentioned, we are now got a team. So when they're ready to go, they put together what they're doing. We have our internal team, just like we do for all our paving projects. We have an internal team. We're doing the same thing now for the park side.
Okay, I appreciate that. And will that include also crosswalks? So whether that be in parking lots and so forth, I mean, just that the kind of the NDOT standard is the park standard. I know sometimes we want to be responsive to a concern in a parking lot, and so we kind of go down and we stripe something down, but it's not necessarily best practice for visibility or safety. Will crosswalks also get a touch from NDOT?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going forward in terms of traffic calming, safety, et cetera, we'll move forward with reviews from NDOT.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Now I'd like to cycle back around, and I appreciate the patience of those who are in the queue and have yet to be heard. So thank you for your patience. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Chair. The presentation that was shown earlier had several streets on it and showed how people had passed, and it was put on percentages. And I want to give members some background on what how some of those percentages came to be. Two of those streets on there that were called out that were narrow were Rains Avenue and Southgate Avenue. Those were part of a larger traffic calming application in Wedgwood, Houston in District 17 that closed literally last night. We got the reports at 12 this morning, at noon, this afternoon. I do want to thank the staff for the work that they've done in trying to make this a little bit more equitable, make this process a little bit more transparent. I'm going to challenge you to do a lot more, because what I saw over this past weekend, including yesterday from residents and myself, and I do want to call several of them out because they worked so hard over the last 48, 72 hours. That was Neil, that was Katie, that was Brian, Marilyn, Hughes, Khalil, Shay, Whitney, and Thomas. If it were not for those residents, two of those streets, Rains and Southgate, would have a fail next to them. The reason they would have a fail next to them would not be because residents on these two streets, whose intersection, they intersect each other, whose intersection within 1,000 feet includes a 50 Forward Center, one of the biggest in the county, and an elementary school, along with public television, none of those three entities were able to vote, them being on Rains and Southgate. Who was able to vote were people like a Wilson County developer who was developing homes on Southgate and had more than a dozen votes put in. We just know by the numbers, based on how many people are on that street, they had to be no's. They absolutely had to be no's. That's a developer who's going to sell every single one of those properties, every single one of them. They're for sale, owner-occupied property. But right now, they're under development. What that meant is that the residents who I just named on that street and on Rains, because Rains had another one, Rains had an investor who had half a dozen. And we just know from the numbers, they had to be no. LLCs get to vote, but our residents don't if they're renting from those places. Our entities and our institutions don't get to vote. MDHA, who has properties on Southgate, we were told the department would work directly with MDHA. I followed up with MDHA. They didn't understand the process. They thought because they weren't located in Rains or Southgate Avenue, but instead are located across the river, they weren't eligible, so they let the residents know about the process. Those didn't count. Wedgwood, Houston is a scattered site neighborhood, which means there's MDHA properties. They're on several of these streets. They're on Hamilton, they're on Martin, they're on Southgate. None of those residents counted because MDHA didn't know the process. So residents, upon finding out, and I do want to thank Mr. Thomas because he was pretty good at telling people, here's where you are, right? We had to ask, but he was pretty good about telling us where we were. Friday at 3 o'clock, Rains and Southgate were in the 50s. In the 50s. And to get to 66. And just the numbers we know is that to offset the numbers on Southgate, for instance, that means residents had to go out and find 26 votes on one street to get it done. And they got it done. and they work their tails off. And it is one of the more stressful processes I've ever been involved in as a council member, because I did not want those 2 streets to fail. Those residents have worked too hard for those 2 streets to fail, but they had to work way harder than they should have. So I do have suggestions for this going forward. There need to be safeguards. We have densifying neighborhoods. We have neighborhoods that are mixed income and mixed status. And I do feel that neighborhoods that take on the density that are requested, this neighborhood is in a Tier 1 Nashville Next Center. They're taking on the density that's been requested by the city, and they're getting punished for it in processes like these. Not intentionally, but they're getting punished for it. Because in 2022, there's 13 votes from one person or from one LLC. In 2023, the LLC doesn't exist anymore. 0. But it could have cost this entire street traffic. I think there should be vote caps of some way, whether you have to compute that by land area or by ownership, however it goes. And the other big suggestion I'd have for you is that there has to be some communication and some standard set for metro institutions and their participation here. It's unbelievable to me that we almost lost traffic calming on multiple streets because our metro and government and quasi-government institutions could not vote. So I would just please, look, for neighborhoods that are 100% owner-occupied, 100% resident-owned, this process probably works. It probably works. I just don't represent many communities that look like that. I represent communities that are mixed between renter and owner heavily, and I represent communities where, guys, consolidation of ownership is real. And I spoke with another council member who they've got one street. It's just all owned by the same LLC. So that's a 1-0 game. Either they get it or they don't. There has to be some sort of mitigation for that, because we're going to see this more and more, especially in districts. I mean, look, this thing was huge in District 17. I doubt we'll see an application that big for some time in District 17. But for other members who might see applications like this, who are going to go out and they're going to check the eligibility list, and they're going to say, oh my God, 2/3 of these are LLCs, and we have no idea how we're going to get a hold of them. And if one person or if one entity says no, it's game over. We have to do something to mitigate that so that people have an accurate reflection. If people don't want traffic calming, that's one thing. But there needs to be an accurate reflection. The vote needs to reflect the will. And right now the vote, thank God, reflected the will, but just by the skin of our teeth. And I'd really like for us to maybe have a little bit more equitable process. Again, I do thank you guys for doing this. I do want to try to provide suggestions to help this process along, but I'm very worried about codifying a process that could result in bread fails next to streets like these. Thank you.
Thank you for those suggestions.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Young? Oh. I kind of like it that way.
And I was going to buy your dinner. First, just a couple of technical sort of questions with the process as it is today, and I think how it will still be with the proposed ordinance. Just because a project is selected doesn't mean that it's necessarily funded. Is that correct? I mean,
So if a project is selected, it is set to be funded. And we start the process where we do the community engagement, the ballots, and then we'll move forward to engineering. But if at the ballot they do not reach the 66%, then it will not move forward. Right. But the intent at the time when we select it is that that particular traffic calming request is moved forward.
And the number that we select is based on an estimate of the amount put in the CSP for traffic calming. So say there's $100,000 put in for, and I'm using round numbers, $100,000 put in for traffic calming. We think on average they cost what, 20 or 30 grand? So we're going to select, in this case, maybe 4 or 5.
So we select 25 every single round. So, and it varies in price.
Right.
So so we've done 2 rounds this year, so 25, so we're up to 50 that have been selected. There was actually more that was selected last year, and we got little stuck on the process that we did for the petition. So we moved away from the petition and moved toward the ballot so that we could actually we felt like a better result to move more projects forward. But right now we are selecting 25 applications.
And the budget is based on 50 a year. The CSP number was based on 50.
Gotcha. Okay.
So thank you, Brad.
Now, say that CSP number doubled. Do you have the human capital or resource to, just because we're doubling the funding doesn't mean we're going to see double the projects completed?
Correct. I do not at this time have the resource.
Would you say what we're funding now is probably the max?
We're capped, yes, sir.
Capped, yeah. Okay, so there's a note to operating budget request, mayor's office, the department, that, hey, going forward, if we want to see more of these, it's not just a throwing money at this in the CSP. It's also an operating request as well. Well, that was many of my questions, I think. When it comes to the proposed ordinance, if it is a privately funded, is it still NDOT's contractors that are negotiated and know how to work with NDOT, and so it's just the private entity writing NDOT a check for X number of dollars because it's going to be, whether it's engineering or construction contractors that we already work with?
No, it is actually, the community can choose their own engineer to do the design.
Okay.
They'll have a layout of what the specifications are to design to. So no, we're not going to say you have to use an NDOT employee. We're going to allow them. And if I could just, real quick, because you brought up the private side, Councilmember Weathers, we did go back and check, and we would be able to do planning through this new ordinance. So I thought we did, but he told me no, but then he went back and he's like, oh yeah, you're right. So one for me.
I do want to add, you asked about construction, actually using NDOT contracts for construction. We do anticipate that will be an option to actually use our on-call contractors to help support that as well. It depends on the situation,
right.
But that could be.
But they can also make their own choice.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think, as we've kind of mentioned, this will be most useful in planning situations because of an example I can think of just a few months ago in my district where I think there was concern that right now there is anecdotal evidence, oh yeah, they're speeding on the street, but an application has not been made for traffic calming. And then when you add 30 to 35 units at the end of the street, is traffic calming going to be implemented based on what projected results of, say, the developer's TI or traffic impact study is, or how do we see this working and interfacing with planning?
Right.
And this is maybe open to.
So if someone's coming through and with the planning a new project, and they do a TIS, which is a traffic impact study, and part of the discussion is that this is going to have a traffic impact, and the community negotiates traffic calming in now, this will allow for us to consider that traffic calming based on the increase in number of traffic. So that is included in this. So yes, we would be, so 35 units are coming in, the community says, hey, we want this is part of the.
Right.
Then we will sit down and work with them to make sure they meet the specification, the requirements, and they would be able to build it.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a street that's already been applied for and put on the list of projects.
It does not.
Oh, there happens to be development on that street. Hey, we're gonna, for that developer to get the density they like, we're gonna say they need to contribute or do this.
Correct.
So, cool.
That was my correction when Diana I usually lose against staff, so that's a win, and I'm taking it.
Well, hey, that is good if you're surrounding yourself with people smarter than yourself.
I do. I have extremely smart people around me.
And then I guess going back to the equity standpoint, I want to share thoughts on the fact that if we're going to talk about equity, we can look at Council District 10 in the sense that over half the land paying property taxes in that district is never, ever, 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 ever going to see an NDOT traffic calming project in it, even though they're paying the same GST property tax rate. And that's because they live inside the city limits of Goulitsville. So thank those folks for funding some of the projects in your parts of the county. Now, with that said, I think there is a legitimate concern over requiring a project out of each council district every couple of years, because the council district lines are drawn in order to fit enough people in a shape that hopefully doesn't divide neighborhoods up. They're not drawn based on traffic patterns. They're not drawn based on, it's simply just a drawing on a map. And that's difficult for me to say as a district that often has never, ever in the history of the traffic calming program never received a project. So I am hesitant, I think, towards codifying that every council district needs one, especially when you look at every 10 years, that line changes. And so when it does change, that might be a particular area that maybe was going to get it, now is not, because now they're in a council district that got one last year, and this new council or this other redrawn council district didn't get one. And I think, like someone said, trying to force that equity is actually probably not equitable. So I think I am done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, council member. Let me go to, I've got two other council members here. Say that again. I'm sorry. Let me find you again.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to interject something very quickly. We have codified, colleagues, pedestrian benefit zones. Those are associated with our sidewalk requirements. Intentionally called pedestrian benefit zones, not zones in which to use contribution in lieu of sidewalk construction. So that is something that is not aligned with council districts. It was drawn very intentionally by planning staff. And so I just wanted to kind of speak that into the room, that as we consider the approach that Councilman Rosenberg has proposed and the concerns of the body, that the codified pedestrian benefit zones might be something to consider. Because I believe there are, I apologize, I should know this, that was my legislation, 16 of them?
That's correct.
16, right, and they're geographically diverse and, so forth. So, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Toombs.
Okay. Oh, good. Couple of things. One, I just want to clarify equality and equity. Equality is when you're giving everyone the same thing. Equity is where you put the resources where they're most needed. So this legislation as written is seeking equality in that it's trying to give everything, it's trying to give the same thing to all 35 council districts, which is getting at least one project every 2 years. And by doing that, though it appears neutral on its face, it's going to create an inequity in that it's going to bump off the list a street or area that needs that traffic calming project more. In regard to the private funding, so I heard you in that you're going to put that work on the private contractor. Do you review that that work and sign off on it? And I asked that because I have a couple of DIY projects in my district that had to be removed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We will be reviewing everything before they can move forward to construction. So yes, it does have to be signed off by our chief engineer.
Okay, and so with several of my community, my constituents have chosen to take advantage when they're reviewing and listening to different rezoning projects, one of the things that they've discussed with developers and gotten into some projects is a traffic calming project that the developer funds. And as I'm sitting here thinking about that, some of those projects that have that traffic calming language as part of it, they may be 2 or 3 years down the line. Would those, and some of those streets have an application on file, so would they still be considered as part of the normal process, or do you have a list of folks, because I assume you get contacted, because I've sent legislation to be looked at by NDOT, that you know which streets have that language as part of their rezoning, and does that bump them off the list, or are they just part of the normal process?
It does not bump anybody off the list. If an application is put on, it stays in the system, and it's reevaluated every single time we do a new selection period. So it doesn't bump them off, because like you said, the construction could happen 3 years is 3 years. Why are we going to make them wait if they've hit all the criteria and they actually get selected? That we should be putting the traffic calming in at that front. About the only time we may ask for a particular street to wait is if we know we're going to be repaving that street, because it doesn't make sense for us to put traffic calming down and when we know in a year we're going to be repaving it. Instead, we would actually roll that into the repaving project.
Okay.
If you have any further, let me come back to you, because I have two haven't been heard yet. Thank you so much. I appreciate that comment on equity and equality. I've seen a couple of really nice visual slides that really illustrate that perfectly, so I appreciate you attempting to clarify that. Councilmember Virtue, thanks so much for your patience. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. You know, I don't have a whole lot of it, so.
I hope to play on as much of it as you got.
So I just want to walk this back to process. And I've stated this before. Southeast have several most dangerous intersections here in the city repeatedly. And we're running out of reasons, excuses, justifications as to why. Now, we just had a neighborhood chosen for a traffic calming project. That's because of a fatality. We've also had a crossing guard hit as well. That wasn't selected either. We have 2 intersections that have repeated fatalities, and those intersections aren't chosen. So to Councilman Sledge's point, he want to challenge you. I'm calling malarkey. Like, we really need to revisit this process. The quadrants here in the city is different. I understand the criteria. That's a beginning point. You've heard concerns from council members expressing equity. For equity, you have to be intentional. And just to be frank, if we're going to do equity here in the city, it would be a lot of districts that wouldn't get anything for a number of years to bring some of our communities just up to par because we've been under-resourced for so many years. The process with the traffic impact studies, another malarkey. Not Councilwoman Virtue's record, but the planning department's record. They don't plan or project for growth. So as a body, we could never fund traffic calming enough because we're not planning and we're not projecting, and the departments aren't intersecting. Traffic calming is more is what it is now. It wasn't like this when we first came on council. It is what it is now because we don't forecast. And the metric for the TIS, how we apply it broadly across the county is flawed in itself. That ratio, I can tell you now, out in Southeast, 1 unit is 4 cars. It's not 2, it's 1. And that's been conveyed. That's the process. The other part of it too, you guys, you have to work with our council staff. You have to. We are frontline as it relates to boots on the ground in these communities. We know the nuances, we know who don't like whom, we know who don't want to sit beside whomever, we know the beefs, we know the turfs. You guys don't know that. And why I make that point is because you came to my area and it was disastrous. You have to work with our council, you have to work with our council staff if this is going to be successful. That's my feedback for this. Traffic calming, without us intersecting and forecasting, we're going to be talking about this forever and forever and forever. We're still going to just be at this cap. The criteria is fine and well. It does not have an equity lens. And if that's not the outcome that we want, we can just say that, okay? We don't have to dress things up and put the equity tag on it because we know what equity is and what it isn't. Outputs and outcomes, we have to be intentional on those things, and those are two different things. And let me see, Chair. I done sat back here for so long. Oh, the privately funded. My last point to the privately funded. Again, that's looking at this this traffic calming policy from the standpoint that all development is treated the same here in the city and is not. Brett Withers is going to get a better, higher quality development in his area than what I'm going to get in mine. What does that mean? That means he's going to get the traffic calming with all the bells and the whistles, and I may get a sign. And again, that's not necessarily equity either. That's just understanding the nuances of what we have here in the city. Each district is not treated the same. The quadrants are different as well. And thank you for the limited attention that you showed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Druffel. Go ahead. You on? Oh, you're in a different desk.
Councilmember Syracuse desk.
Syracuse.
There you go.
Yeah, I always want to be Syracuse. Thanks, Chair. Really echoing a lot. When I raised my hand, I heard very similar themes and echo theirs. I would suggest that we almost need to find out what an aspirational budget for this is. I mean, I got 2 notes just while I'm sitting here. It's my top issue now that garbage is taken care of and trash pickup. I get them on a daily basis. I mean, on Leak Avenue, someone's just, sending me a crazy note that someone's going 70 miles an hour down that road, whether it's 70. I think we have to figure out as a city what that aspirational aspect, what is it going to take in 2 or 3 years? I think, and everybody's conversation here is, we're ready to support something of significance. When you look at my district, it's relatively quiet in many ways, but traffic calming is a big deal. I mean, we got a lot of rolly hills and stuff like that. And people are jumping out of the way. We're getting a sidewalk or two, which is great, but the reality is most people are walking in the street. And literally, I know myself and my wife just literally jumped out of the road the other day. So it's a reality. So I think we're all really receptive to what is that aspirational budget? What is it going to take to actually do something? And I know you have to get the resources behind it. But I would just echo, I think, at least from my perspective, I would love to see what it's going to take to do something more intentional and more serious. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Councilmember Johnston. We're going to round 2 now. I got a couple in the queue. Go ahead. Oh, you need, you guys are in different places.
I would, to sort of continue what Councilman Dreff was saying, I would say when you guys are talking with the administration about your budgets, I would add in whatever FTEs you feel like, I mean, giving you 10 FTEs is obviously going to be unmanageable at this point, but having some type of plan to get to that point to be able to address the demand, I think it would be helpful for us. Instead of us having to amend it in, it would be nice to have a reasonable ask that you feel comfortable with as far as FTEs and whatever, capital budget, which we're in the process of right now, so that it's already in there. The other question I have is from this privately funded thing, does the money come to NDOT as a reimbursement, or is everything handled outside of it? Because if it comes to NDOT, I think we have to accept that money by resolution, correct?
It would be handled outside.
Completely handled
Correct.
Outside. Installation, everything.
Everything.
Okay. And then on one of the slides, it said there were summer of 2022 selections. Have we received those yet? Because it's, oh. Can you resend that? Because it said that, no, they were saying that summer 22 selections happened, right?
Yes, and it was actually sent out already, so we'll resend it.
Yeah, because yeah, the July just closed, so y'all already made selections from that July.
So with that, I mean, we have right now, we're looking at the applications. So we go and collect. Yeah.
One on them.
Right now, we're reviewing the applications. Okay, so from the two things, the summer selection that happened, we have those streets in the queue, and that's right here. Because there's two things that happen about the same time. Summer selection, which is constituting 24 neighborhoods. We have application period that follows that selection where people are applying. So right now, yes, we are already working with neighborhoods that were selected, and we've already got one going into ballot that's a new neighborhood.
Okay, because I don't remember receiving that, and it says districts not selected, and mine is not on there, so I'm assuming I was selected.
So we did release the summer selection over a month ago, so we can resend that back out. When was that?
So you're going to resend the summer selection back out, which was released over a month ago.
We can resend it out of everybody. We'll resend that out to all of council of who was selected in the last round from the summer applications that were.
So what was released a month ago, that your street was selected, what application period was that from?
That was applications that were received in January.
Okay.
Correct.
So it takes about 6 months.
It does, correct.
Okay, yeah, I know I didn't receive that because I turn back flips whenever we get selected, and I didn't turn a back flip this summer. I haven't gotten the email yet, Councilman Young.
Okay.
We'll resend that selection.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Councilmember. I've got 4 in the queue to go again. Councilmember Hurt next, then Henderson, then Toombs, and if anybody else wants to be added to that queue, just raise your hand. Thank you. Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just quickly, you had referenced a consultant earlier. Do you have the consultant, and if so, who are they?
The consultant is Kimley Horn. They are the prime, and they have a sub, Birch. And that's for engineering services.
Was it a RFP that went out for it? I'm just trying to see if there's any minority contracting women-owned businesses.
Birch is women-owned.
Excuse me?
Birch is women-owned.
Birch? So it's the contract is with Birch? Do you know who that is?
No, actually, Kimley Horn is the main. Birch is a subcontractor to Kimley Horn, but they participate in the actual traffic calming programming.
So did they participate in the bidding of the contract, or did Kimley Horn just add them on as a contractor?
No, they participated with Kimley Horn on the contract. So when Kimley Horn bid, Birch was one of their consultants that was included with it.
Okay. So it went through our regular procurement
Yes, ma'am.
office.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. To this kind of confusion here, I was just going to recommend, whether it be online or kind of how presented to us or in the community, community members are going to be thinking, oh, I applied by July 15th. Is that the result of that, right? Since it's sort of lagging, I just think, however you all choose to title it, just maybe parenthetically, you need to kind of harken back to that time frame. As it relates to the legislation, and then just to colleagues' point about scaling this program up, I mean, I think we've all expressed that we appreciate the improvements and the changes and feel like things are kind of starting to track along a little bit better. But, we are where we are because, we're 80 years behind. We didn't require sidewalks. It's just, we're 526 square miles. I mean, your Raleigh example, lovely, but they're maybe a third of the size of Nashville physically. I think a lot of what the challenge here is for council often is how do we deliver this stuff at scale, right? And we don't go too big too fast so that we don't have appropriate kind of scrutiny and improvement and evolution of a program. So I think, the tension is often, process matters, do this right, get it right, grow it slowly. But I think because of some of the fits and starts, just in our time, Director, I think, you're the fifth director, if you combine if you refer to the Whitelaw, DeMassimo eras too, we started with, I think, for constituents and citizens to understand, I hear and know their frustration, but to be where we are on this, given all that volatility, I think is good. So I do want to acknowledge that. But as we look at what I touched on earlier about, safe routes to schools, safe routes to parks, collectors, Vision Zero, maybe some private funding aspect through development, to Councilor Lady Johnson's point of kind of how we're taking out these pieces so that we can kind of start to advance more. I guess if you could touch again on the kind of the traffic impact study, like I understand our last term, we were looking at, to Councilor Lady Virture's point, kind of like recalibrating that to make sure it did include multimodal or traffic calming. I know there has been some concern historically about requirements that are sort of off-site from the development's footprint. And so while I hear that that's happening sometimes through kind of negotiation, right, like the community is kind of using these things as kind of leverage for approval. What I would like to see us is getting to requirements, right? So do we have some tension? I guess that's a question for Ms. Darby potentially, or Ms. Zeitlin, who are chatting with Councilman Young right now and maybe not hearing my question, and Councilman Withers may know. But, I had asked the department about kind of from a policy perspective, right? Developments of a certain scale, this goes to Ms. Virtue's point, can we require on streets, that are the adjacent collector or what we know to be, right, in the traffic impact study, how will this impact it? Requiring the traffic calming kind of, quote, off-site, not just as in like part of negotiation towards approval, but just from a policy standpoint. So I'd like to address that, please.
So there are certain triggers in a plan and when a development is occurring that might trigger a traffic impact study. Not every development will trigger a traffic impact study. So,
but that's policy, right?
That is.
I mean, what's our threshold on that?
Off the top, I'm sorry? Yeah, thank you. And that's actually a pretty good low threshold compared to what I've seen in other cities. From that perspective, so there is an industry standard. So I think if we were to push the envelope a little bit further, we would probably get some challenges from the development community that I would want to make sure can be legally upheld. And I think that's one of the challenges is that there is certain things that we can ask for. There's a lot of opportunities at the council level that when a development comes in for the council members to be making the ask versus it being staff. That we could support through analysis, study, and research and provide best practices, or even just the analysis of what we know from data we can put on the street and collect that would support that ask. And we're always more than happy to do that. But the traffic impact study does get triggered through land use development. I will tell you, the director, Kempf and I have had many discussions about how we can improve policies, especially where we know density is going in. We are working on a few of those now to bring forward for consideration. We're not quite ready. There's a lot that we're trying to get done in a short amount of time because development keeps happening. And to Councilmember Virtue's comment about we're not doing any long-range planning, which is very true. That is something that really has not happened in Nashville, but that was one of the reasons my department got created, was so that we could start doing some long-range planning, and that planning would consider where the growth needed to be, where we needed to put new roads, where we needed to widen roads, where the multimodal needs to go, how that's going to look and feel, what that development's going to be, and putting together a long-range plan that would be supported by our local MPO as well as our council, and we're working on that as well. But there is not anything really here that drives that. But I do feel that's one of the reasons this department was created.
And then so for update to traffic impact studies from a policy perspective in your conversation with Director Kempf and, whether the threshold is 75 or not, like, again, timeline potentially on that policy, and also making sure that traffic impact study, right, is multimodal.
Yes. Well, I will tell you right now, because there is legislation on the table for parking minimums. We are actually looking at recommendations on language there for parking minimums, because that is part of multimodal. If you apply parking minimums, part of the time, sometimes that can actually take away opportunities for staff to leverage improvements on other multimodals. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure what language comes forth for the parking minimum is going to allow for us to have that leverage in place so we can ask for better things from the development. So if we know a transit stops in the area, instead of them building the parking, we want those dollars to go toward transit improvements. But if we set parking minimums and the developer doesn't have to do that, then we can no longer ask for that transit improvement. So we are working on that language right now, because that is before y'all and for consideration, and we want to make sure that you understand what we see as an opportunity to use as a leverage to move initiatives forward from a multimodal so that we're improving the community as we move forward. So sometimes we have to stop what we're doing to work on other stuff, but I don't have a timeline for you right now, Councilmember. I'll go back. We're working on many different things. We're working on transit-oriented development right now and what that policy would look like for consideration for council that would actually help drive all of those improvements we want, including right-of-way setbacks, so that multimodal is at the forefront of the conversation. So sidewalks are included, traffic, that the street lights and pedestrian lights are included. We have appropriate landscaping or awnings that are going on the building to provide the shade. So we're really creating that true destination, but it'd be a safe destination. And then also how the bicycle facilities fit into all of that. And then most of all, how transit ties into it being the lead of it all. So we're working on all of that as we're speaking.
Okay,
it just
thank
takes
you.
a lot to pull that together.
Oh, absolutely. Understood. Thank you so much.
But I'll work on the timeline for you.
Thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Toombs, you don't have anything else? Okay. Councilmember Withers. It's blinking at me. I guess I had too many.
Am I here? Okay, yeah. Thank you, Chair Pulley. I just wanted to plug a couple of things. I think in a lot of communities, in my experience, this is often true in Southeast. You have a lot of prior zoning and old PUDs, in some cases that have been in place for decades. And it's from the planning department's standpoint, a lot of times those entitlements are already vested.
Yes.
Or another challenge that I've heard from planning staff, which I think makes sense, is that they don't always know whether projects are going to move forward or not, especially if they're already vested. And so that makes it difficult because you have parts of town that have very intense zoning already in place. I mean, I'll even say like along Main Street, you can build 7-story buildings by right. It's been that way for a long time. Almost none of it's ever been built. It can be very difficult to predict when things are really going to come out of the ground, even with existing entitlements. So I just want to throw that out there as a little bit of a, we have more control over things, certainly at the council level when we do a rezoning than we do with existing entitlements. But I think to Councilmember Henderson's point, the more that NDOT that we can all wrap our arms around the permitting process or when they actually pull a building permit, I think the more we can do that, I'm sure a lot of it happens already, but the more we can maybe all get on board about that, the better we'll all be. I did want to speak to as well, for planning, I know Southeast is a busy area. In some cases, we do have local planning studies that are done for areas that do include traffic solution recommendations for pedestrian safety. One of those is for the intersection of Murfreesboro Pike and Bell Road that came through planning recently. It's a little bit of a UDO, but it does also include some traffic calming recommendations as part of development entitlements for that plan. That is something that planning can work on with communities if we're doing a UDO. We definitely have had a lot of that with the East Bank for as things go on, but even for other areas, that's a possibility. So if council members are working with planning on a local planning study, having that helps. In District 5, the Highland Heights community worked on a detailed neighborhood design plan that includes a mobility plan, for instance. So that's something that council members can work on with planning if you're doing a local planning study. So just wanted to plug those things. But lastly, I know we're getting late in the evening, but a lot of this discussion really has been about the neighborhood street traffic calming program. But for myself, I was very impressed by the Vision Zero implementation plan. One of the things that I went through was to just list out all of the street segments in District 6 or adjacent of Gallatin and how many of the different buckets within the Vision Zero implementation plan those segments are in. And a lot of times I'll forward that to my constituents to say, like, it's not there today, but we are looking at it and it is in the works. But for streets that are collectors, they're more likely to be on the high injury network and within the Vision Zero plan. And maybe could you just kind of give an overview of where we are within the Vision Zero from a funding or analysis standpoint?
So thank you very much for that, Council Member. So right now, the implementation plan, and thank y'all very much for that support. We're moving forward. We are in the process of hiring a Vision Zero coordinator that will be responsible for getting the program out the door. We're also right now doing analysis on multiple projects, so what we call quick builds, and that is where we have the opportunity to go out and make some really quick improvements, such as crosswalks where there's been some challenges. We can add rapid beacons. We've ordered them. We're actually expecting them in this week. Because we're really ready to get a lot of those out the door, and that's pretty significant. There's over 100 of those projects we're looking at implementing throughout the entire county. We're also have already started on some more long-term projects, such as ones that we're calling 6 to 18 months to get done. We've started on design work because they're going to require a little bit more of the engineering of the road and what that looks and feels like, and some of that may include adding a traffic signal. Hawks may be another one we're adding. We're looking to add quite a few hawks to the area. As a matter of fact, that's one of the areas, Councilmember Toombs, we're considering for your area based on what you sent me today. So those are some things that we're actually looking at as well, that we're moving forward. And then there is some much more, what we're referring to as transformational, which is going to be a total, complete rebuild, which is what we're looking to do on some of the high injury networks, such as Dickerson. Nolensville, we actually put in for the Safe Street grant, where we're asking the federal government for $23 million to match to our $7 million we have in the bank, so that we can move a lot of those initiatives forward on Nolensville forward for improvement. But Dickerson's another street that we're focusing very much on. We're working in partnership with some different advocate groups to help us move to help us through those designs of what the community wants, that we can look at engineering to get built. But they take a little bit longer, because when you get to design and engineering, you have to do full-blown designs and then put it out to bid and all of that. But we feel like those can be done in a 18-month period. So it is a 5-year implementation plans. There are certain things. This Friday, we will be releasing the applications to make up our Vision Zero Advisory Board. That is going out. And I'm really super excited about that. And from that, we'll be creating an advisory board. The intent of the advisory board is to help us with the budget that we have, as well as also giving us direction on best practices, as working with the council and the community about projects moving forward, and then also in the budgetary process. So we really kind of look at, as we're moving projects forward, we're going to take what we're going to do. We're looking to put the professionals on that board that can help us with really thinking outside the box with innovative design, so that we can move them forward. So that is actually going to be released this Friday, and that will be moving forward. So in November, we can have that committee meet, get pulled together, and start giving us really thorough directions on how to move forward. So that's a really important step we need to get done. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Withers. Councilmember Vercher.
When the director mentioned the grants, I want to thank y'all for applying for the grant for the Antioch Pike and CSX.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, too, I just got a text from a constituent. They're watching, and they said they wanted to thank you for being so candid and being so honest. They appreciate when the question is presented to you, and when you don't know, you say you don't know, but you will work on it. So that's from a constituent from District 28. They wanted me to share that with you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember Vercher. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to acknowledge and thank Metro Police for being here. Kind of the speeding enforcement piece of this, we've not talked about.
Oh, thank you. I'll be glad to.
And so I would appreciate if we could touch on that.
Yes.
And kind of dovetail it into some other things that came up here today. So what I'm wondering, and I know that Metro Police wants to be able to show a desire from neighbors, right? So you want neighborhoods to ask for that speeding enforcement, so that we can make sure that's something that the community wants. And I respect and appreciate that. I wonder also if the fact that somebody is in the traffic calming queue, right? Whether it's been, it's not under evaluation at that juncture, but they put in an application. Why do people apply to that program? Because of, perception of or reality that they're speeding. And so what I sense from my constituents, and I feel like if I insert myself, I can kind of get the feedback, and it's much appreciated. You know, we were actually out on this day. This is how many people we stopped, and I'm grateful for that. But I feel like sometimes I have to keep saying to constituents, please keep asking, please keep asking. And I think they kind of hit a wall a little bit where, maybe because of, the traffic division obviously has to respond to wrecks. There's only, a certain number of folks and all that. And so I'm just wondering if we can kind of programmatically or process-wise consider, if we're kind of random but intentional on that list of people that are in the program, and or if we're trying to optimize, if we're going to do a kind of tiers, Mr. Oldham, you spoke to with the flashing signs, we know if those are not backed up with random but intentional speeding enforcement, their effectiveness is lower. So to kind of optimize some of the lower hanging fruit, lower cost measures, I've found that it really isn't like, oh, you got to be out there every day. It's just constituents knowing that you might be out there. And so again, if you're working on a list or a certain set of projects and you're random but intentional, that's going to optimize those funds. And so I wonder, since Metro Police is so kind to be here, if we could just maybe have that as our last
So I would like to share. So, enforcement is one of the E's of Vision Zero. And so I will tell you, we have been working from a Vision Zero perspective with our police department, and they've actually been quite effective, but their focus has been on the high injury network. So they're out there focusing where we are having the crashes that are leading to fatalities and serious injuries. And unfortunately, most of those are on the pikes, and that's where they're putting their attention. Where they have been putting their attention, we've seen great success with the reduction in number of crashes that were occurring compared to what they're doing now. So, and they're looking at all of the modes, not just vehicular crashes. They're looking at pedestrian, bicyclists, everything, trying to get people to change their behavior so that we can have less crashes and serious injuries occur. I will also share with you that we put speed signs out, or speed radars out. We have many speed tables. One of the things we just purchased through Vision Zero is actually additional speed tables that we put out, because as you had mentioned, people actually do act to them and then they don't. We, as Jason had mentioned, actually we do see reaction out of people over a 12-month period, but we put speed tables out and they're collecting data. So a lot of times we put we put the radar signs out and they're off, and so people see nothing. They see nothing on the screen, but it's collecting data. So we're collecting the number of cars, how fast they're moving at, and what's happening out on the street, because that gives us an idea of what's truly happening. And then we'll flip it on sometimes to see if that actually does create a different behavior. So we're doing that through Vision Zero, but we're also doing that through our traffic calming. So on some of our collector streets where we're not putting speed cushions down, and we do a lot of times, that is taken into consideration because we don't want to hinder the ability for the fire department, especially on a route for fire, to be able to have their response time reduced. A speed radar sign actually is a good piece of equipment to use, and it also provides us data. So a lot of the speed equipment that is out there is still collecting data for us. So we actually can pull that data and look at it. And again, one of the other E's of Vision Zero is evaluation. So it's always going back and evaluating what we're doing, not necessarily saying, okay, we've done that, walk away. We always go back and we're continuing to look at it, because in our world, continued improvement is really what you have to do in transportation. So what is that next step? And so as we've learned today and heard from y'all about coming up with some new ideas to go along with the program, and I've written it all down and it's all through this many pages so I could collect everyone's thoughts and comments. Y'all have given us some really good ideas and feedback about next steps in the program. And as I said, Jason's already thinking about that. Y'all have added to it, and I know his head is about ready to bust because he's thinking about how he can deliver on this next level, and then also what he's seeing and hearing from the community as well. So I just want to say thank you. None of it has gone unnoticed. It's all written down. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because we don't always get this opportunity. So thank y'all for that.
Lieutenant, have you got something you want to comment on with respect to that question?
Sure. I'd just like to say, as I stated earlier, our enforcement is focused on the high injury networks that's supported by the data. So that's where we spend them. It's on a regularly scheduled, it's on a schedule that happens to be random by the way we run that. So Hermitage Precinct may get enforcement on Monday, and then the next time they'd get it would be the following week, sometime maybe on Thursday or Tuesday. And those times, we randomize those times as well. We utilize the motor units to do the enforcement on those secondary streets, and they'll do that for several hours, and then while they're in that precinct, that specific precinct, the community complaints that you were talking about, once we have received those, whether it be from your constituents or I'll get them from NDOT on times, if somebody will send a complaint to NDOT about speeding and they'll forward it to us, then we log those under the community complaints. Then those motor officers will go address those. With regards to the controlled access highways, this year, 2022, we started something a little bit different. We get a grant every year from the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Y'all vote on that grant. It's the DUI grant, and then I think 2 years ago I switched that grant up and had 50% DUI and then 50% multi-violation enforcement. In 2022, we started spending that money strictly on controlled access highways. There's 24, 40, 65. There's an interstate in every council, probably every council district across Davidson County. We were addressing the secondary roads with the motors, so I wanted something to focus on the interstates. So we started spending that money focusing on the interstate systems, and what we found, then we started comparing after the first quarter of 22, we compared it to the last quarter of 21, and there was a 19% reduction in crashes on the interstate. So we've kind of maintained that and just focus on using those funds to focus on those controlled access highways. So we actually get to cover more roadways. And again, that grant has been applied for and awarded again. It'll be coming in front of council probably this year, or I'm sorry, this month. And then we're getting they've offered us a pedestrian grant as well that will monies to be spent more towards education to, distribute to the community members at community events and so forth, safety tips and those things towards the pedestrian side of it.
Any other questions?
Follow-up question.
Councilmember Henderson.
And so for pedestrians, is that just in education? I often get requests for, and I'm not real clear where it falls, on crosswalk enforcement, where, I think we have historically over time, because people have been frustrated at non-compliance, we kind of have a myriad of signage in the community. So sometimes we say, it's state law. It's always state law, right? And then sometimes we don't have parity in a certain corridor. On one end of the corridor, it says it's state law, and down here it doesn't. And the community sort of feels like, well, everybody keeps blowing through down here. We need this sign, we need that sign. So from a safety and kind of enforcing the law standpoint, and I do absolutely want to commend the work that's been done on Raleigh Parkway and 440, and I see that and feel that, and I think the community appreciates it, really I do. But I wonder, just from a budgetary standpoint and a staffing standpoint, we always want to find that right balance of enforcement and physical measures and all those things, but I do see people wanting crosswalks to be enforced and some of this additional kind of speeding enforcement, and I appreciate you explaining that in the precincts. Can you speak to whether your division is doing crosswalk enforcement and or education, right? Like just sort of reminding people like, hey, here's a pedestrian about to step off the curb, you have to stop, that kind of stuff.
We have in the past done it. The problem you have with crosswalk enforcement is usually, unless you go downtown on Broadway in the middle of the night, there's not a exorbitant number of people crossing at one time. So down there, yeah, you could probably see many violations, both from the motorist and from the pedestrian aspect, in order to conduct enforcement. But that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms. The problem you get is when you're utilizing the grant money is, are we getting the bang for our buck? If for instance, we have a crosswalk, say somewhere on Hobbs Road, Hobbs and Hillsborough Road, over there someplace.
Stammer. Hobbs and Stammer. Near Hillsborough.
Stammer.
Yeah.
How long are we going to sit there? And the grant money is to fund for overtime hours, to pay somebody overtime in order to go out there and do that enforcement. How many hours are they going to sit there before they see that first violation? Are we getting the bang for the buck out of that, or are we better off to go to a community, save that money for a community event to put out educational materials for the pedestrians?
I appreciate that, and I think that's something that comes up often in that balance at Vision Zero is we've absolutely got to work where we've had the fatalities, of course, that's our priority, but that latent demand, right? Like we have crosswalks in place, and to your point, you might not see as many people there. That's because they've seen so many people blow through that crosswalk that they feel unsafe, and even though they can throw a stone and hit a commercial district and it's pretty densely residential, I would assert maybe at prime times like school, going in to and from school times and things like that, I would like to see us do some kind of combined education and enforcement with some of our crosswalks that are in school proximity or in our, Tier 5 centers, commercial areas that necessarily aren't downtown, but like say, me selfishly, Green Hills, we have fatalities in Bellevue where Old Hickory Boulevard and 70 South intersect. We've got a transit stop, we've got a Kroger, we've got apartment communities. I'm sure in Southeast they have similar. So again, I think you could, that latent demand of, we've got people in our area that get in a car and drive a couple blocks to a store, even though there's a crosswalk, because they don't feel safe. So I just would ask, and if that's letting us know from a budgetary standpoint how we get there.
So I just want to add real quick, I'm sorry. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to mention all the E's. I appreciate that. So education actually is one of the Vision Zero E's. We actually have a meeting with Chief Drake and a few individuals with my staff and his PIO to talk through the marketing side of it on education. That's coming up in the next 2 weeks because we are going to be putting out an RFP to hire a marketing firm to help us with that education component and also the encouragement side. So we are working forward on that, very mindful that we need to be doing some education. That is also part of the Vision Zero initiative in the first year implementation plan. So that is moving forward as of right now. And I think you'll start seeing a lot more of that as we continue through the program.
I appreciate that. And I just want to say for the record, I would like that to be proportional to the impact of the person that's driving. I think, yes, you have to educate everyone.
Oh, I agree.
But absolutely we need to focus on the people in the fast-moving metal boxes they are the ones that need to stop at the crosswalks and slow down.
Yeah, no, I do not disagree.
Now, with regards to the crosswalk, if you have a specific crosswalk where you've had issues with, we will do the enforcement on that. If they send that in, that goes into the community complaints and we address it through the community complaints as well. The grant money for the pedestrian is something new. This will be the first year we've received it, and it'll probably be after January 1st before that money's into play. But we're always open for discussion on how to apply that.
Councilman Vercher, got another question from a constituent?
Thank you. They watch me, Chair. They watch me. This is my last question about traffic calming. We used to have, MMPD used to be allowed to be hired by HOAs for traffic enforcement. And we shift from that policy. I don't know why. Can you take that back for us to revisit that?
That would be a question for the secondary employment unit.
Yeah, can you take it back for me, please?
Can we take it?
Thank you, Chair, thank you.
Thank you.
I just needed to say it to be on, so the ask is made publicly. Yeah, if we could revisit that. You remember that, Chair?
I will. In fact, I'll make a note of that and handle that myself.
Yeah, HOAs used to be able to hire our officers for enforcement.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Councilman Virtue. Any other questions from the council members?
We can wrap it up, Chair. I'm just saying.
All right. First of all, before we wrap it up, I just want to thank everybody. Thank Director Alicorn and her staff for spending 2 hours and 20 minutes with us answering questions. Thank the lieutenant from coming and sitting around for 2 hours before he ever said anything. But patiently awaited his turn, and thank you for that. And also thanks to our council staff who stuck around here and made it through the entire meeting. I appreciate all y'all's assistance. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for attending.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.